Hi guys, it's me, Becca, and this is the video version of Live Positively Autistic right here on Geek Club Books. This month, I wanted to share my tips and tricks with you about changing input and why it's so important for us. Input is something I worked on really early in my struggles after my diagnosis, trying to figure out what I could do to make my life better and more enjoyable for me. And I was noticing that when I first got diagnosed, I had a lot of negative self-talk going on in here. It was my words, other people's words, experiences through my lifetime sort of just became this negative conversation in my head. And I was really, really desperate to get that thinking pattern changed. So how do you change an unwanted thinking pattern? How do you even go about that? Well, to me, it seems pretty logical that what I needed to do was change what I was putting in. If I wasn't happy with what I was putting out there in the world, then I really needed to change what I was putting in the first place. And I didn't like what was going on in there, so it felt like another reason, yet again, to go ahead and change what I was putting in. So what I did was start the process by thinking about what and where I spend the most of my time and energy. So I say to you, if you're not happy with your thinking patterns, the first step is thinking about where you get the most input from. So where do you spend all of your energy and your time, and what are you picking up from that environment? What is coming from the place that you're spending all of your time? For me, that place was social media, the internet. I do most of my work on social media and the internet. Most of my friends and my social life is on social media and the internet. And so I spend a good amount of my time on there. And anybody who's spent any amount of time on the internet knows it can be a landmine for negative thinking. Negative thoughts, expressions, negative humor. It's there and it's all over the place. It's easy to find on the internet. So I knew had a big problem. I knew that a good chunk of my life was being spent surrounding myself with thinking that I didn't really necessarily want to be doing anymore. So what I did was comb through all of my social media sites, and I went through and I decided that I have control of the input. I have control of what I'm putting into my brain and into my life every day. And part of that means taking back control of my social media feeds. It means using the settings to my advantage. So I literally went through all of my social media profiles. I looked for all of the pages or people that I followed that were full of thinking or expressions that I didn't want to be using anymore. And I unfollowed them, meaning that they didn't have to appear in my newsfeed anymore. I don't have to see that stuff. And more than anything, I took advantage of the see first option. On Facebook particularly, you get to see what comes up first for you. And so I took control of that. I thought about what are the things I want to literally see first when I open up my phone. Well, I'd really like some encouragement. I'd really like some positivity. I'd really like some good conversation. And so I went through and I made sure that I started to, as much as I was taking away all of the negative stuff and I combed through and I took out huge lumps of negative, I also remembered that I had to add stuff back because I didn't want to be missing. It didn't mean I had to not participate with the social media community. It meant that I just wanted to change what was going on for me. So I went and I added back all of the stuff I wanted to see first. I added all of the pages that had the sense of humor that I wanted to be carrying with me, that had the light that I wanted to be carrying with me, the quotes, the things that I enjoy. I'm a meme collector, so the ones that had the really positive, great memes instead of the sardonic and sarcastic, ironic ones I'd been following. I went through and I made all of those changes physically, and it took a physical time to do, but it also had really fast results, which is something I'm really a fan of. I noticed that relatively quickly when I changed the input I was putting in, my output was changing and my thinking in between was changing. I wasn't so apt to use negative words and angry tones of voice when I was putting in nothing but positivity. So that's not to say that that's what you need to do with your life or your social media, but it's just an option, a way to take back the control of the input you're putting in to yourself, so that you can control your output. Try to remember that it's really easy to lose that control, and that you need to set some boundaries around what it is that's allowable to you to come into your life. So spend some time thinking about it, give it a try. If you have some other ideas about where you might be getting some negative from, for example, I stopped watching certain kinds of movies, certain kinds of television, reading certain kinds of books. I really changed wherever the input was coming from. I sort of said, no more. I don't want to give my energy to that anymore. So that's where I am about changing input and changing some negative self-thinking. That's what I did for me, and I hope maybe it'll help some of you out there. Feel free to share back with me any ideas that you have on changing your input, and I'll see you guys next month.